Hey, can you give me mic check?
One, two, three. Can you hear me?
Hey, I gotcha.
Perfect.
All right, just give us a couple more minutes, guys. Sorry for the little delay. We're just trying to get everybody set up, and then also make sure the recording and everything is set up for this. Hey, Jordan, I sent you an invite. If you can, as a speaker, if you want to hop up, and as soon as we get everybody up here, then we can get the space started.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, we can wait till like 5 minutes and wait until he connect the microphone. I have the new microphone as well, so I don't know how you
Yeah,
could hear
sounds
me.
good. It sounds good.
Okay, that's good. That's good because I didn't know how it will be worse because I didn't test it yet. So
Yeah, sounds good. I can
it's
hear
the
you.
first time. Yeah, correct, correct.
Yeah, Jordan, if you want to drop off, I didn't get your invite. If you want to exit out and then come back, and I'll send you another invite. Sometimes X is really weird. I know sometimes what's really weird is when you have speakers talking, and and sometimes some of the speakers are can't hear the other speakers, but like everybody else can hear them. It's really weird. I don't. I know. I used to listen to some. It was like. I think it was like called Finance Daily. It was an X space. It still goes on, but it would happen like every other day, drive everybody nuts.
Yeah, it is kind of glitchy one, but listen, it is what it is.
Yeah, it
Good that it's
is.
working anyway. Know that the Jordan have the problems before. Oh yeah, he's here already.
There we
As
go.
a speaker, yeah.
Jordan, I
Well,
think I
Jordan.
think you're good now. It shows you as a
Good
speaker
morning.
anyway.
You
Good
can hear
morning.
me.
Yep, I got you finally. Yep.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we're just Will, if you want to is there anything that we need to do to double check like your recording is good on your side?
No, yeah, everything is fine. I got it already. And did you click the record on the X as well? Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it
that
is
was works
recording.
anyway.
Yep, as our
But I
backup. Yep.
yeah, but I recording this anyway. So yeah, it's
Cool.
fine on my side. You
Awesome.
will be there anyway. Your voice will be recorded this time.
Yeah, for everybody that didn't know,
Yeah.
the last time we did this, we did it via Discord, and one of us was muted, and by the time we were done recording, I ended up having to I had to record every bit of it again, and then we patched it all
Yeah.
together to make an actual video. Uh,
That was the reason why it was like 2 days
that was
delay
brutal.
after for record. Yeah.
That
But
was
listen,
brutal.
nobody probably knows about that until
Yeah,
now.
all good.
That's good. Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Well, if you guys are ready, this is a recorded space. I know this is kind of midday on a Saturday. I know a lot of people weren't going to be able to make it because it's midday and everybody's got all kinds of stuff going on in the weekend. Um, so, Will, if you're good and Jordan, you're good, we can get this thing kicked off.
Yeah, sure, we can
Sounds
go.
good.
Okay. All right. So everybody that's listening in the future or hopping in right now, I just want to say thanks for supporting the project and just taking some time to listen in, see what's going on, see what the latest and greatest is coming out of the project. Obviously, this is focused on Satori and what we have done. It's been a little while since we've done a space like this, but I can tell you, like today's going to be a pretty good one. We took some time this week and really kind of looked at what we wanted to talk about, both like all the new stuff, but also just trying to give everybody an update of where we've been over this past year, and what we're going to be going towards. So we narrowed it down to a couple topics. And there are some things that we've covered in the past in this previous spaces that we've done, but I think it's a good refresher for everyone. And obviously, this space is also tailored to people that are just coming to the space that haven't heard about the Satori project before. And so this will hopefully shed some light about the project. I did take some time, and at the top I did pin a couple links off the Satori page. So if you want to take a look at those are great. Feel free to like, follow, share. Appreciate it. But all right, so today, what are we going to dive into? So, a few topics that we narrowed it down to are what is Satori and the project's vision, the network health and tokenomics roadmap, and what's next for the project, the delineation between the project and the association, and then finally, we opened up an AMA portion. So joining me today for the space is Will, who's a project member of the team, and then also Jordan, who is the founder of Satori. Unfortunately, Krishna is not able to make it. Just he's just going through some stuff right now. So Krishna, wherever you're at right now, we're just thinking about you. And sorry you couldn't make it. All right, so housekeeping before we get started. So this space is a structured session. Like I said, we did open up an AMA in the Discord community. So we took some time and gathered a lot of the questions that people had, and then we'll hopefully answer all of them during the end of this space. We won't have an open mic today, but as we're going through this, if you guys have questions for any of the listeners right now or in the future, whoever's listening to the recording, just hop in the Discord community, drop your questions in there, and then we'll answer them either in the chat or if we continue to do these spaces like we have been doing, then we can answer them in there. All right, so with that said, let's dive into the first topic. What is Satori and the project's vision? For this portion, I'm going to throw it over to the founder of the project, Jordan, or in Discord, also known as Meta. So, Jordan, if you want to just kind of cover like what is Satori in a nutshell.
Absolutely. So I founded Satori a couple years ago, or whatever it was, and was building it on my own for a long time. Eventually, I was able to launch it. The idea behind Satori is that it's a worldwide network of computing nodes that predict the future. It's an AI system, a network of AIs that all talk about the future all the time with each other and predict what it's going to be. And this is not just, it's not limited to one domain. It can be the future of anything. So we're eventually building a world model that lays a foundation for the future of anything. But at current, basically anybody can put up a data stream on the network and ask the network to predict it. So it's kind of whatever the community wants it to be right now, and that'll always be true. But we want it to scale and grow and mature into something that generally predicts the future and uses those predictions with each other to help predict um, each other. So if you can bring all of the world's data into one space, one uh, in, congruent with each other, then you can make sense of the world's data much better. But it's hard to do that in any kind of a centralized form, and you really don't want to do that in a centralized form because there's too much data, too much bandwidth you have to handle. And so why not make it a decentralized network that can communicate open and free, and therefore the predictions are open and free as well. Everybody can see all the predictions. So that's basically what Satori is in a nutshell. It's a network of AIs that do nothing but talk about the future with each other.
Jordan, one of the questions that came up, and I'll actually mark this that we'll take care of this early on before the AMA portion. But one of the questions was, so what is the difference between like a traditional AI system um, versus what Satori is?
Oh, yeah, good question. So traditional AI, we might call it LLMs because that's what everybody calls AI right now, is it's basically built on a data set. So what they did is they went out and they curated all the text on the internet. And they said, this is our data set. We want to build a structure of computation, an AI memory structure that understands this or that can imitate this. and can essentially embody the entire text. And that's what AI is. That's what LLMs are. That's what OpenAI and Anthropic, all this stuff is fundamentally at its base. Satori is not based on a data set. That is the core fundamental difference, in my opinion. It's based on the assumption that data sets always grow because we always move into the future and then there's more data on the set. So that's, I think, the main fundamental difference. So Satori is not built with data sets in mind, but instead data streams. We have streams of data that are happening. Like if you measure the ocean currents or something every day, that's a growing data set, or in other words, a data stream. And not only do we have to understand the data set of historical information, but we have to predict the next observation on the stream. So we have to predict what it's going to do in the future. So Satori is focused on time. It's time centric. It predicts the future because it uses data streams as its fundamental underlying data structure rather than data sets like these big LLMs and stuff. I would say that's the main fundamental thing. There are other kind of differences that I think matter, but I don't know if we want to get into that now or maybe later or something.
I mean, honestly, it's up to you. I think one term that I come across, like as a dove into Satori since its launch, is I think the idea of like temporal intelligence, and I think maybe explain that. I think that would be kind of
Yeah,
enlightening what Satori uses.
there are two kinds of patterns in data. There's spatial patterns and temporal patterns. And all the AI that we have today mainly focuses on spatial patterns. That's why it's built on a data set. It finds out all of the spatial relationships between everything in the data set. What is the patterns here? Um, temporal is more about, okay, how do those patterns, spatial relationships, evolve over time? That's what we want to know. So that's what Satori focuses on, is how do those spatial relationships evolve? Once we know them, we should start to forecast them into the future, because it's kind of the difference. If you said, well, okay, if we took Satori in its ultimate form, we compared it to like ChatGPT or something, how does it compare there? Instead of it mapping all the text of the internet and knowing how to speak English, I'm going to map all the text of the internet through time, and I'm going to see how language evolves. And I'm going to now.
Is I don't know if it's just me. Is Jordan breaking up?
Yeah, he is. I can't hear him at all.
Hey, Jordan, we're losing you a little bit. Oh no,
Oh,
Jordan.
well.
Jordan, you might have to hop off and hop back in. All right. Hey, just give us a minute while we're while we're having X difficulties. Maybe we should have done Discord.
Yeah, I think so. He's trying to get in and out, but his mic is not working or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's hopping out. Get him back up here. All right, you're back.
You guys hear me now? Sorry.
Yep, we got you.
Okay. All right. Well, basically that's it. Um, temporal prediction is all about how how do these patterns change and evolve over time?
Awesome. Thanks. So I guess the next part is so what was so in your mind, like looking back when you launched the project, what was the project's like what was your vision when this thing first kicked off?
You know, my vision was that I saw we weren't doing something that the brain does on a global scale. And I thought, well, why don't we just do that? So the brain is efficient, not just because it understands the patterns in data, but specifically because it treats how those patterns are evolving as first, you know, first level citizens, I mean, that's just as important. And so everywhere in the brain, it's not only just recognizing the patterns in the data, but also predicting how those patterns will evolve and broadcasting those patterns or those predictions out to the rest of the brain. And I saw the state of AI, and I saw that, we're getting pretty good at learning patterns and mapping functions. And so we can do that pretty well, and we're getting better. But I didn't see us um, broadcasting how those patterns will evolve on a worldwide network. And I knew about crypto and blockchain and distributed consensus technologies. And I said, well, we could, if we wanted to, we could build a network that would broadcast this information and make it available to anybody who wants it. It could improve the entire economy, and it could give us all the ability to know what everybody else knows. Not actually know what they know, but know the result of what they know, which is the prediction of what they think is going to happen. So if we could just socialize that and spread it around, everybody could act with that shared knowledge of the future in mind, and we would have a not only more efficient and wealthy, more affluent culture and civilization globally, but also a more peaceful one. So that was just, I just thought it was a good idea. So I guess that was my vision.
Yeah. So obviously that brings us to where the project is today, and like we have to ask, like, has the vision changed since the project launched? And at least from my standpoint, and I'll throw this back to Jordan and Will, I would say no, the vision hasn't changed originally from its vision, but if anything, I think it's expanded from what originally we sought out to build. But that's not also going to say like this project has definitely gone through some turbulent periods since the launch in it was July of 2024. But I can definitely tell everybody that the project is back on track and definitely full speed ahead to accomplish what it sought out to be in that original vision, like what Jordan just said. And just for context, just so everybody that's listening about the project, so here's just a few just catch up on anybody that's not been in the loop or just like a brief summary over the since launch and kind of the turbulent period that we have had. So shortly after the mainnet launched in July 2024. There was a neuron cyber attack, and that actually prompted like the staking requirement, which is kind of different than what was originally sought, but it was definitely a necessity. Um, Unfortunately, like Jordan went through, like his wallet got hacked back in April 2024, and then all of the liquidity that the association provided was drained, and basically, project was broke at one point and in pieces. Um, and then another private entity came and took over the project for a while up until late November 2025, just a few months ago. And then the project was handed back to the Satori Association. Um, and for context, the board president it was Krishna, the lead developer, And then both Will and I stepped up to help lead this project after that. And then obviously we've been working in conjunction with Jordan. So this is just kind of giving everybody some context over the last couple months of where this project has been and everything that we're working through. And then since November, I can tell you we've made huge strides to get the project back on track. And a big part of that was having Jordan be part of that. So I really do appreciate you, Jordan. And obviously, all of us have been uh, trying to redirect back to what your vision originally was. And I'm glad that we're moving in that direction again. Um, so I do want to go through a list of highlights and updates on the project since November, or the last couple months. So big ones, all keys and servers were placed back under the association control. A new neuron and central server version were built and released. The Satori Association.org and the project website went through an overhaul and kind of separating the two entities, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The new Electrum X servers were deployed. Basically, the entire community server was fully reorganized. Satori token distributions were restored, and we did increase the staking requirement to 250 Satori per neuron. We expanded community collaboration, and we implemented this kind of an effort to really start building a grassroots involvement for the project. We opened up the application process for the to join the Satori Association, and we actually implemented official voting to which the where the project would go and efforts that we would implement. We built a mobile application, which is undergoing testing, and we can talk about that in a little bit. A live neural map was released. Shout out to Will. We launched the API page that provides consensus predictions. And then we also completed the bridge back from base to Evermore. And then also, yeah. What did I miss over the last couple months, at least for the big picture stuff? I know there's a lot of technical stuff. I'm sure either Will or Jordan, you guys can hop in.
I think you covered it. I mean, that was awesome. Yeah, I would say
It's been
the
very
beginning of this
busy.
pod, it's
Y-
been very busy the past 3 months, and you gave a great overview of the struggle we had. You know, that entire struggle, I don't know if you could put it solely at my feet. I don't see why not. I was a naive developer turned founder, you know. And as I've learned through this process, developing a team to help you, you know, do everything you got to do for something like this should be the main focus. And it certainly wasn't mine, right? I was just building the tech and just going full steam, and then I had to do the business and the security and everything. And you can't do it all as one person. And so now I'm so happy there's a team behind this, you know, and without that, it just wouldn't live, it wouldn't survive. So that's, you know, we got a good foundation now with a team. That's what was needed from the start. And then the last 3 months, you're right, we've really made a lot of progress. I'm excited about the app. We basically rebuilt the entire thing from the ground up, almost from the ground up. We used a lot of stuff, but we basically started over, and that was a good thing. So I'm happy about the technical foundation we have now. I'm happy about the team and the business foundation. Yeah, everything's looking good.
Okay. So as far as like staying true to the original vision, do you think we're still aligned? Speaking from like the founder's perspective.
Yeah, I do. And I think, you know, when you start something new and you can't see all the details, but you can see the big strokes. You say things like making a world predictive model and stuff like that, but it takes a long time to get there, right? So yeah, that's still the original vision, but we've learned other things that matter. And so you're right to say, like, it's expanded. We've refined what it takes to get there. Yeah, it's kind of the vision of the path is better understood now.
Will, did I miss anything on the big highlights over the last couple months of where the project has been and what's been done?
No, I think you cover everything pretty well, you know. Like those last 3 4 months was so exhausted. Like we do so many big jobs, you know, and to basically rebuild Satori from the bottom. And every week was something new that we must improve and start and rebuild again. And now it's like it's going on the shape. Like you didn't mention what we start the website with we have the demo website for the neurons that someone can just jump in there and see how the neuron is working without even starting it. We have the beta website that the guys from the association can check the uh, new things, what is in the neuron before we even implement them in the main version. So yeah, it was pretty busy. It is still, like, you know.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Thanks for bringing that up about the web browser version for testing. So moving on to, like, obviously, like we've talked about over the last couple months and everything that we've implemented. So the next portion, kind of what we're gonna just I'll just run through just some stats on the actual network itself and how is it actually functioning as of today. Um, so number one, the network is fully functioning and it is operational. Daily, it's running about 50 streams of different layers. So, like a stream would be like a predictive price of Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency. The network averages about, I think we're at 500 to 600,000 predictions a day. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then there's just over 4,300 neurons running in the network. Token price right now on average is about 32 cents. And so with the 250 Satori staking requirement, that's about $80 to run a full node or a full neuron. Um, the neuron right now is on version, and this is the brand new neuron that was launched. It's version 1.7.1, so definitely had a few updates in there for sure. I think we were averaging about at least 1 to 2 a week for a while, so definitely making improvements. And I know there's been a lot of good feedback about the new dashboard, which has been really really great to see and super simple, and also has the Clive function. Um, and I think best of all, the way this new network has been built, it's much less to run it versus how expensive it was in the past. It was averaging like $2,000 a month to run its servers, and right now we are well below that cost, which is great to see. Um, Obviously, we want to be able to run it lean and mean. Um, on the technical side, obviously, I can only say talk so much. Is there anything that you got, both of you, want to talk about as far as like pointing out as far as like today's network health versus like where it has been and where it's at today?
Well, the network health is good. Maybe Will can speak more to that, but I'll say, um, you know, be, being able to go through it again, we were able to simplify everything down. And so before, there were times when we had more streams than we have today, but we weren't getting as much value out of those. We were doing things like predicting them on a minute basis at one point, which is way overkill. It was an premature complexity there. So I guess what I'm saying is a lot of the things that you can't really define with metrics, I can know or I can already see are better engineered this time around, if that makes sense. So that's what I mean when I say I'm happy with the foundation of the technical side of things.
Will, anything on your side on the overall health of the network and where we're at?
Yeah, no, the network is is in a really good shape now. If you're comparing to the past, like was more complicated. Now we simplify everything on the network, and it's running really well. We don't have any big issue problems or shut down the network. That's not happen anymore, and that costs us a lot of time to do that. And like you say, the costs are running really low, and the easier how the network is work is huge difference for Satori network now, especially with the new updates what we prepare for new neurons. Probably we'll be talking in soon about that, and then those 50 streams, I think so 75 streams, even like it will be skyrockets, and the prediction will be like going in the millions, you know.
Yeah, that's good. So we talked the network aspect of it. Will, I'm gonna throw it over to you if you want to talk like the actual like token side of the project.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So when we start at the beginning, we must say that the Satori had no pre-mine and it was no airdrop. So everyone starts from zero. We start from zero, and from the first day, what the Satori was mint or distributed, that was the first Satori. Not like other project, we didn't have any airdrop. So that's where we was. And at the top, we have the total supply as a little over 4 million tokens. I think so. Yeah, it's over 4 million tokens on the total supplies of Satori would be ever exist. And right now there is around like 822,000, yeah, in the circulation tokens. And the first halving will be happen in July this year. So after 2 years, we have 1 million token. By that time, we have distributed 1 million tokens in total, and the next 1 million tokens will be distributed slowly, and it will be take 3 years, and another one will be like 6 or 7 when I was counting well. So it's really like we already 2 years in the distribution. 1 million tokens is as was distributed. So story tokenomics are based on staking and running neurons in the predictions network, where operators run networks and stake Satori, and that's contributed to forecasting data and earn rewards. And we have some kind of core utility for the Satori tokens. The basic one is the access to the predictions. So if you hold a token, you can use them for access to the prediction data from the network. That's the base what we want to archive on that. The next one will be staking. So the operator stakes Satori to run prediction nodes, which we call neurons, of course. So yeah, we can call them nodes, but yeah, we'll be calling the neurons probably for the rest of the space. And network payments. The network gives daily rewards to the most accurate prediction models. So every day the tokens are distributed from the network to the to the to the to the workers for making the good predictions of the now of the cryptocurrencies. In the future that will probably change. And the last one, but not less important, is security. And the staking increase network security because users commit their own tokens. So that's security for our network. And yeah, that's where the Satori token is now.
Okay. So next question. So and I think generally we've kind of touched on it, but I think it would be helpful to kind of just explain it in bare bones terms. Like how is the network structured and how does it actually function from like, okay, we've talked about what a data stream can consist of, like a Bitcoin price, but like Jordan or Will, if you guys want to cover like how does it actually um, focus on whatever it's predicting, and how does that actually work in a system, if you can kind of just work through that from start to finish and what it produces.
Do you want me to take that?
Yeah, if you want, it's all yours.
So, like I said, it's a network of computing nodes. So when a neuron starts up, it's just a piece of software on your computer. It runs inside of Docker, so it's kind of isolated from the rest of your machine. Um, and you can control how much CPU it gets and stuff like that, but it's kind of isolated. And it will start up and it will say, okay, network. It goes out to the network and asks, what should I predict? And the network provides predictions or provides data streams that it's supposed to predict. And so now that network has recently been mitigated kind of by a central server. It'll say, hey, here's some streams, here you go. But we're currently building out, and in fact, it's in testing, a more decentralized solution for that. So when I say the network, I do mean we're going to be using a peer-to-peer analog to have these machines talk to each other. So it really does go out to the network. Anyway, it goes out to the network and it asks, what data streams do you need me to predict? And it gathers a list and it starts subscribing to those data streams every day. And every time there's a new observation on the stream, it listens to it and it adds it to its data set that it's growing. Remember, the data sets are always growing. So it adds it to its data set and it's constantly training models. It's experimenting. It's trying to figure out, how does this data stream work? In fact, it's doing that for each one of the data streams that it cares about. It says, how do they work? And not only how do they work independently, how do they work in conjunction with each other? So it's always exploring these kind of questions. And once it starts to feel like it has a good model, it can predict what's going to happen in the future a little bit better than guessing, it starts broadcasting that prediction out to the network. So it then produces a data stream on the same Satori network and says, if you want to know about the future of this thing that I'm looking at, or all these data streams that I consume or subscribe to, well, you can just listen to my data streams, my prediction streams. And at that point, the other neurons, the other nodes in the network, can subscribe to those prediction streams in order to kind of leverage the work of that original, of your node, you know. That's basically how it works in a nutshell as far as the communication between the neurons and then what they do with the data. They're always building models. And then they broadcast predictions and they try to be the best at predicting whatever they're predicting. So I don't know. Does that,
Yeah,
any
no,
questions about
that's
that
perfect. Yeah,
process?
I think that's about as simple as it can be as far as explaining the process from start to finish and what it actually produces. So I appreciate that. Thanks, Jordan.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Moving into the next part of the space is we're going to talk about. We've talked about leading up to the last couple months. We've talked about where it's at today. So obviously, like we got to talk about what is next. And like we said, we're not stopping to build. Like we're not done building. We've got a long way to go, um, and there's a lot on the to do list over the next definitely this next year for sure. Um, so Jordan actually mentioned it, and the first thing I had on the list was to talk about the P2P release. So Will, if you wanna talk about it real quick and when people can maybe project to see it go live or at least a beta version, let's talk P2P real quick.
Okay. P2P is an interesting beast. Peer-to-peer, getting computers to talk peer-to-peer over the internet. Interesting problem, especially when you have this extra double NAT layer of Docker. So we have a particular challenge with that and have tried a few attempts in the past. But eventually, we discovered the right way to do things. And I'm hoping I can make an analogy with a different system to show why this is the way the future is going to unfold. Okay, so back in the early days of blockchain and Bitcoin, and or earlier, I should say, we got to a point where we could build decentralized exchanges. These decentralized exchanges are pretty cool. You know, you can exchange value in a decentralized manner with these systems. But at the same time those were evolving, other systems were evolving. And that's the kind of the pools. The systems like Uniswap and the ones that are liquidity pools. And in some ways, decentralized exchanges are more direct and more honest and more straightforward and better, just in some ways. But it's really the liquidity pools that became popular, and that got adopted by the world. And so, and kind of the question I have is, why did that happen? And the answer that I come up with is that liquidity pools have a direct and simple way to put your money up for gaining some kind of increase, residual income of some kind. Whereas the decentralized exchanges really don't have that. And this is a good analogy to peer-to-peer, because you can build networks that work this way. They directly connect. We were able to get that to work in isolation. And a lot of systems run on that kind of stuff, like Bitcoin and whatever. There's lots of peer-to-peer networks. But I don't think it's the way that the future is going to go when it comes to sharing data in any kind of peer-to-peer fashion. I think what's going to be more popular is the pattern of dumb relays. So, and this is the Nostr design. So the design is, well, instead of us sending all our data, all our predictions, for instance, to the central server for the Satori network, instead of that and having it kind of either disseminate them down to other predictors, score them, whatever, why don't we build a series of dumb relays that don't have to hook into any database. They don't really have to worry about authentication very much. They're just, they're just kind of dumb pipes. And if we then incentivize the running of as many dumb pipes as we need, we can then have as big a network as we want. We can scale as long as we can incentivize that. So what I see, and that's not the built-in Nostr pattern to incentivize these Nostr relays. So that's something that we would have to build on top. But that's what we've done. So we've kind of built that system out. It's in testing. Will and Krishna have really been testing it and fixing all the little bugs that I didn't fix yet. But that's what we're doing. And I think that's the future for distributed systems, in other words, is the main point. I don't think we're going to build peer-to-peer because it always involves a lot more complexity and it has no direct incentive for anybody to participate, right? But in order to scale the Satori network, there can be an incentive structure to do so. Run an extra server, a dumb pipe, and you can get that incentivization. So anyway, yeah, so that's kind of what we've built out. We've integrated Nostr into the neuron in our development builds, and eventually we'll be able to release that. And that'll serve, we can't really do everything we want to do without some kind of peer-to-peer solution, right? So we've landed on this appropriate scalable, um, modern peer-to-peer solution, Nostr relays, incentivized Nostr relays. And with that, we'll be able to build out the marketplace, both versions of the marketplace. The simple one where you can just charge for a data stream, and the more complex one where you can actually incentivize predictors to work on your data streams. So that's kind of the roadmap and why we needed to make this foundational piece.
Awesome. All right. So the next part, Will, when can people start to see this thing roll out and at least get their hands dirty and start their own testing?
Well, if someone tracking us on the GitHub, they probably knows already what we are baking there. Like so like last 2 weeks we were with Krishna was testing and like Jordan said, uh, fix small features in the code, and it looks really promising now. We just one step, one enter click from the release beta version of the neuron that have that peer-to-peer layer already in it. And what is new? It will be the beta testing will be work on the testnet. Yes, so first we run the testnet. First time on the Satori, we run testnet, and that testnet in the future will be using for the testing new features that will be improved in the neurons. So yeah, I think so. We will be able to open beta tests today or tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the last. I hope of that. It's just when the Krishna will be have time to do that on the put on the Dockerize container. And after that week or two, we'll be probably changing if every test and fix the codes will be go smooth. We'll be switching to the main network, and but the testnet will be still running in the background. So from tomorrow, we'll be have two working network: the testnet and the mainnet. Yeah.
Awesome. It's coming soon. All right. Next thing on the roadmap is I think I briefly mentioned it earlier is the mobile app. So basically, what the mobile app is going to be able to do is it's a non-custodial app. Goes first launch is going to be via Android, which is in testing right now, and then it'll be on iOS eventually. Basically, what that'll be able to do is it'll support the Evermore chain. Obviously, Satori is built on Evermore, and it'll support Evermore assets. But the key highlight of the app will be the ability to stake Satori in application. And I know eventually the idea is to get to a neuron light kind of model. So that is in the works. It also opens up the ability to open the doors to other blockchains. Obviously, this is a just a non-custodial wallet that we can also integrate other chains and build out like an ecosystem within the actual mobile app. And so that is in testing right now. So hopefully we're working through a couple bugs right now, and hopefully everyone will see that over the next month or so, and actually get it out and launched, and everyone can start using that. The next thing on the roadmap is the prediction site, and I will throw that over to Will.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. So the prediction site is that's another important thing. What we are working on the Satori on yeah on in Satori, yeah, prediction site is not marketplace. It's completely different approach. So right now the most prediction are available through the simple API, which is mainly used by developers or other guys who want to pull the prediction from our network and use them. However, we have plans and we are start building a user-friendly website that will be closer looks like to the trading view website. So with all this kind of charts and magic stuff that the trading view have it. So the on-site user will be able to see charts where prediction are overlaid on the real world data, making it easy to compare, of course, forecasts with actual result of the prediction. And the user will also be able to create alerts, set notification, and interact with the data in the different ways. More simple way, like normal user can use will be able to use our predictions, not just developers or internal circle that using the API or those guys. Yeah, the normal user who start the web browser, they will be able to go to the our Satori. You can call now like trading view website of Satori and compare prediction to the real world data, and that will be, in my opinion, will be a huge big step and something that we needed. And yeah, our goal is to make that data produced by network accessible to only to, yeah, like I say, to not only to developers but the regular user. That's for the goal of that prediction websites. And we don't have timeline for that yet, but after peer-to-peer will be released, we can focus on that one more, and probably will be soon after it.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people have mentioned they look forward to just a regular website that people can utilize, and it's
Yes,
just simple. Like just as simple as like what's the prediction of Bitcoin going to be next week, and that's kind of the goal, is to make it as
ex-
simple as possible.
exactly. Like with the data, like we can say like about the prediction website with the cryptocurrency, but will be a lot of stuff that we can put it like temperatures. And when we start running the peer-to-peer network, and everyone will be able to add own data stream on it, so that will be grow. It will be amazing. It will be like kind of with the map or on our ecosystem. You know, you can see how many neurons we have it, and that will be explode when the peer-to-peer start working.
So looking at the roadmap, another big thing is, now that we've gotten to this point and rebuilt the neuron, it's up and running, obviously making it stronger. The other part about this is, this is a terrible term. I hate marketing. I don't know, like it. Maybe the better term is socialization. But one of the biggest things is, like, obviously if we have this project and it's we've built the utility and it's actually working. Um, how do you socialize it? And so some of the things that we're going to focus on over the next couple months are, number one, educational content, um, in which some of the community members have actually stepped up and started to do like short videos of even how to set up a neuron and being able to make predictions yourself. um, but big things, it's not just about running the network, it's just education, like what is the project and what can it do. So and like what's the actual use case, like can a regular day person use this, and if so, like we have to be able to build content that's out there, like, hey, this is what you can do with Satori, and it's out there and ready to be able to be used. um, Other aspects of that, of like the educational content, is like how to use it and actually like implement it to be able to predict and whatever it is. And we're not, and this is not pigeonholing ourselves down to like just as simple as like the price of Bitcoin. We're talking about um I mean, it's the, like you're talking about business relations of like productivity or sales. You can do predictions of sales, whether it's certain items that you're or trying to increase your revenue based on certain items, and it can basically use the predictive data of that stream of whatever you're tailoring it to towards an individual's business, to be able to make it useful for them. And that's kind of the idea. It's not, we're not pigeonholing ourselves in expanding outside of just crypto. And I think that's really um, not just our project, but I think that's a big stepping stone in the crypto space in general, is where we have to be able to go outside of just crypto, and make it real world use case. Um, Other things that we're focusing on as far as marketing is really stepping up like the grassroots involvement. I think that's a core pillar of making a project strong, is having a group of people behind you and actually believe in the project. And that was the one of the reasons that we started the grassroots movement over the last couple months, is like we want this to be a focused on moving forward together, not just the idea of one. Because if you put yourself in the idea of one, it might not always be the right answer. So that's something that I want to continue to stress and trying to build up as we move forward. Another big part of the socialization aspect is obviously just increasing social media presence and like what we can do and what the network can provide. And a big part of that is also getting involved with other individuals and groups within the AI space, within like the space, like just talking business relations as well. So that's something that we definitely are starting to focus on and looking at. Not only like socializing it, but also like the aspect of building utility for the network. Because actually, when you start talking with organizations, obviously you have to look at use case collaboration. Like, how is this project meaningful to you, and what can you use it for? So that's a big part of it. And that honestly, like, if we can start building those use case collaborations, we can continue to build and strengthen the actual use case of the project and start broadening what it can and can't do. Um, and I think that a big part of it also is, which we've started to really focus on over the last couple months, and there's been a lot of implementations, is just making it user friendly. Like I said, like Satori can't just be pigeonholed to the crypto space. Like, it needs to be simple enough that anybody can use it for the better good of whatever they want to focus on. And so that's going to be a big part of this next year, is making sure that the bridge between world use case and this decentralized project is it's just another, it's a it's a tool to use, not just a not not someone that has to go down the rabbit hole of crypto to figure out what Satori is and what they can do what it can do for them. Um, so that's kind of what we're focusing on as far as marketing and just building utility um, over the next, really the next 6 months is a focus, at least for me. Um, so I think the next portion, what we'll do is, we've kind of talked about it before a little bit, but the delineation of the Satori project and the actual Satori Association. In the past, it was very meshed together, and it still is to some degree. But so the Satori project is, look at it as like two entities. Um, the Satori project is responsible for building, maintaining, and evolving the technology and software that power the actual network. On the other hand, the Satori Association is responsible to provide the governance, oversight, and stewardship of the network. It doesn't direct like the day-to-day technical development, but instead ensures that the ecosystem operates responsibly and alignment with like the mission of the project. Um, and that way, like, this separation helps protect like the actual decentralization itself, and it reduces like central points of control and promotes long-term trust also. And like I said, one of the key things that we've really done over the last couple months is build up the idea of like separating the two, and actually opening up the Satori Association to membership, so anyone can go apply, and the Satori Association actually does votes to be able to steer the project in a whatever direction. So I just wanted to make sure that we kind of delineate the two, and there are two separate websites now. Um, so, and we'll talk about the actual links if you want to check them out a little bit later. All right, so moving into the next portion, um, and for all the speakers, we can kind of just go around the horn and just kind of say our own thoughts as we move through the list. But these were all comments or questions from the community taken over the last week and a half. Um, and so we will just run through the list and we'll see how we make out. I think we're at uh, just at an hour, so we're actually staying within our time. Um, so I'm just going to work from the top, and we can go from there. All right. So marketing plans, we talked about that. Like, the question was like, what is the marketing plan? Um, so we did talk about that for the most part. Is there anything I missed, Will? on the marketing aspect?
No, I think so. You cover everything in the past. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. So, second question: will Satori be on the Evermore chain in the long term? In the past, it was often said that there were limitations on Evermore, and therefore alternatives were sought. I can't even talk. Um, from my foxhole, I don't think there's any reason or justification that we need to look for another chain. I think everything that we need as of today is is built on the Evermore chain. I don't think there's any reason to be able to start looking to branch out. And that's not just because Hans is listening here. I see you out there. I appreciate you hopping in. If you don't know Hans, he's the one of the lead developers for Evermore Chain. So unless Will or Jordan, you have anything, I think I've been pretty happy. It's cheap to run, it's fast, and it provides everything that that Satori needs as of today to be able to be successful.
Oh, you know, I completely agree with you. On the Evermore chain, we have we just run Satori token. All the predictions and the rest of the stuff that's most important for us are not on the chain for now anyway. So it's completely fine.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Hans and the team have always been very helpful. I think they've even updated the Evermore chain um, in order to support the Satori project in the past. So I think it's awesome. It's a good partnership, and um, I would say, yeah, I don't see a reason to ever move. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I wouldn't say we might never do something else on other chains, but the core token is on Evermore. Yeah.
Okay. All right, moving on to the next question. Are there any plans to incorporate GPUs in 2026? I know I've had the conversation with Jordan in the past of whether it was something on the horizon, and it wasn't ever really in the immediate horizon. I think it may be beneficial to be able to one day include that population, but I think where we don't want to go is also um, where the like anybody on a regular laptop can or desktop um, basically gets shut out, and like we get to what other cryptocurrencies see is like you switch to like ASIC mining, and only ASICs are the ones that are actually worth to run. So Jordan, I don't know if you want to comment a little more on that, but at least that's my thoughts.
Yeah. GPUs have always been in the plan, but we're not going to do them until we have to. They're just not necessary yet. But as soon as they are, and I think the time at which we start developing GPU algorithms and frankly, we do have some code that we've developed for GPU, but it's not complete. So, and I don't think the time to focus on that is until we have a light neuron. At that moment, we have neurons that can run on the phone or in the browser, and we have a neuron that can run in a beefy computer on Docker, And so that to me looks like the time when we say, if you want to run a bigger neuron that can handle more data and make more predictions, or maybe handle data that's more complex, or maybe handle data that has long history, or whatever. But when we get to that point, that'll be where GPUs start to shine. And then there will always be enough space to have these light neurons that are doing kind of the algorithms that we have today in an even more efficient manner. So that's kind of what I see happening, is a bifurcation where the two actually probably work in tandem. And, because these different capabilities as far as bandwidth and total number of neurons and that kind of thing that the GPU ones probably shouldn't do. it can offload it to the more lightweight neurons. So anyway, that's what I kind of see happening.
Cool.
Yeah, and can I add something?
Yeah, sure.
The most people in the community, they think that when we include that the GPU stuff in the neurons, they can start mining Satori. But the one and most important, we're not mining Satori. We're doing predictions, and we just distributing Satori. So it's not mining Satori. That's the most important. And I think so they missed that point, you know?
Yeah, that is a really good point. Like it's not mining. You're being rewarded for the actual work of the predictions that you're making. That's a good point. All right, moving on to the next question. What is the internal mood currently among the developers and Satori Association members? What are you looking forward to in the future, and what concerns you? Will, you want to go first?
Oh, yeah, sure, I can. No, I'm 100% positive now. If I can compare what happened in the past and now, it's completely different story. We have opening so many things in the projects, and so many stuff must be done that yeah, I 100% sure that we are going in the good direction. We are very busy building like peer to peer or the kind of trading view website or map or other things that yeah, sometimes it's just that the work is overwhelming, but I'm really positive on the future of the story. That's for sure.
And Jordan, I think you've kind of voiced where you're at. Obviously, you're helping steer the project right now and putting a lot of the back end work in. Um, do you have any other comments for this?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm very happy. This is a stable path, you know. This is stable, and this is we've got everybody. You know, in the beginning, I approached people and said, maybe not very well, but would you be my business partner on this project before I even launched? And I got some no's, and so I kind of just said, okay, well then I got to do the business side and the development side, and let's just make it work. And it's not sustainable that way. And so having a team, I did not know how important it was, and you can't survive long term. So now I'm happy as a clam. We've got a real team, and we're all of one mind, and we're moving forward.
Cool. And just yeah, from my perspective, I'm I'm very positive. Um, I can say that everybody's putting more time and effort in than probably they should spare, honestly, comparatively to what else is going on in their lives. And I think I every day I'm definitely motivated to continue to drive this thing forward in the right direction. And I think I've been really impressed with how fast everybody has jumped to through hoops to be able to build and what is being built, and how fast everything is coming together. So I'm very very positive from my perspective.
Yeah, like if I can say something more,
Yeah.
like we basically working like 24 hours constantly, because when I go into bed and wake up in the morning, I say, why, what the Krishna was doing on the GitHub and all the codes and stuff like that, or Jordan is made, and
It's like a week of
we are not
work.
sleep,
I know.
we're not sleeping. Yeah, it's like neurons. We work in 24 hours because if someone going to bed, someone else is working on Satori, and that's the big plus.
Yeah, it's
That's
great to
right.
see. All right. Next question. Um, so there's been talks of releasing the Satori LLM. In and the question is like in terms of costs, and the comment is it's a nice to have feature, but is it really needed for this current stage? In my experience, LLM is expensive, especially if you want to train your own model. And I think that's definitely an accurate statement. It is expensive to run your own LLM. Um, as far as the roadmap, I think there's other priorities that we're trying to focus on right now. It will come eventually, but obviously we have to keep the cost obviously in mind, and so some things do need to fall in place in order to be able to sustain it. Obviously, number one is we've got to keep the network up and running. We have to keep the Satori Association in um, good legal, good financial standing, so that it can pay the cost to be able to support the project. Um, so I think for right now, the LLM is kind of on a back burner. We've talked about a lot of other priorities, but it is going to be a nice to have, and it will be. We just have to make sure that the juice is worth the squeeze. Will or Jordan, you have any comments?
At some point, the LLM Satori, uh, will be absolutely necessary, and because it's obvious, this is everybody's got language, it's the first thing we learn. So that's how we're going to interact with computers in the future, like almost exclusively visual and lingual, and that's it, right? And so I think at some point, to the average person who finds the project, they will see Satori as an LLM that is just, they go to the website and they ask it a question, or it's on their phone or whatever, and they can just ask questions about the future. And that once we get there, it'll be very important to have. And so we're going to have to start building it out at some point before it's necessary, but at some point it will be necessary. I don't think it is right now.
Okay. Next question. How will Satori compete with the numerous AI models on the market? What is unique about Satori, and who are its direct competitors in AI prediction? I think we've pretty much covered this earlier when we were talking about the idea of, or the distinction of like Satori's temporal. Um, is it temporal prediction? Is that the proper term?
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, the prediction, that's how it kind of differentiates itself. But it could be the case that these LLMs, you go to them and you ask, hey, what's the future of this? And it's just going to guess. It doesn't know. It's going to guess. And um, it hasn't been trained to know that, right? It's been trained to kind of regurgitate information that it knows, and that's it. It hasn't been trained to extrapolate that information into a good, coherent view of the future, right? They can barely get it to be coherent, right? So in order to also push that into the future, it's going to be hard. But what it might do, what these other LLMs might do, is they might reach out to the Satori network and ask when they're given a query, hey, can you tell me about the future of this, and that? And, tell me how they interrelate or something. And um, I could see that happening. How it's going to interact, differentiate, or compete with other AIs, I think it's going to be some kind of symbiotic relationship, honestly.
yeah, so that's a good perspective. I think I actually wrote this down earlier. I think something that separates it is it's more like, I guess the way to look at the Satori project is to look at it as not just like comparatively to just a single AI model. It's more like an evolving intelligence market. I think that's kind of a way to look at it, rather than just the single output of a of an AI, like people are normally like using on their phone. So that's a good comparison.
Yeah. And you see those big AI models, they spending a lot of money to train those models. It's not like, cheap or easy to do it. In Satori, what is unique in the Satori? You have small neurons that doing small prediction, small training models. And after time, you have huge database of training data for those AI models that basically those big companies and corporations can use for train those models. That's big value of the Satori as well.
Oh, that's interesting. Yes, and those models, there are those that training data set, everything. It's not pushed up to a centralized server. So the association doesn't own all that. It's literally owned and controlled and held on the machines that build those models. Um, so if the big companies want that data, they have to ask the network itself.
Yeah, it's a good point. All right. Next question. Regarding hostile takeovers and other events, what's in place to prevent similar instances or manipulation in the future? I think the big thing, and kind of what I touched on earlier, is the importance of having the Satori Association. And for us, opening the doors, I think, was a big step in the right direction to be able to make sure that there's enough people that care, genuinely care about the project, to make sure that it's staying on track and making decisions that that go through a vetting process, and like having the vote ability, and really making sure that it deters any kind of bad actor or kind of hostile takeover. I guess as the question asked. I think that answers it. And I think another part of that also is just for um, continual evaluation of the network. Obviously, there's things that you don't know without monitoring the network, and which I think we've done a really good job. Shout out to Will, um, continually kind of taking a very hard look under a microscope to make sure that things are working the way they're supposed to, and making sure that it's fair across the network. So that's I think that's my second part. And Will or Jordan, you have anything to say?
I'd say you gotta stay lean. If you're ever in a situation where you're like, okay, well, um, we're spending too much, so we need to go find investors, or we need help. That's not going to work, right? So you got to stay lean and never get in a situation where you're desperate. So because if you're never desperate, you're fine. You don't need to talk to people, listen to people that are not in it for the right reasons.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. Are there any plans to further hone the neuron prediction algorithms? Um, Jordan and Will, if you guys want to take this one. I mean, my simple response is yes. I think it's a continual process that will need to evaluate and reevaluate as time goes on, and making sure that the way that the rewards are distributed is fair, it's accurate, but also at the same time, the biggest thing is we want to make a network that is predicting data that is accurate. Um, and I'm sure, obviously, we started from scratch again in this second iteration, I guess, of the project. So obviously, we've started lean. We've gone back to the basics, and it, at least from my perspective, it's a continual. Um, uh, I guess progressive development as far as making sure that we're going to learn lessons along the way, and I think that's going to be it's not going to stop anytime soon, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd say that. And we have to, like you were saying about the distribution of the rewards, and that's a calculation. That's a scoring calculation. And one thing that the future will bring is that open marketplace where anybody can score, right? So eventually we're going to get there. Um, but yeah, socializing that ability to score, I think, is something that matters in the long run. So.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. Will data streams be handled by the association, or will they be offered up for the community to provide again as they originally were? Um, I think so. Right where we're at today, obviously the association got the basically went down to the simple neuron, took the reins, and kind of hand selected um, what needed to be prioritized and what was the first data streams to be able to throw out there. The next part of that obviously is building onto it and what other data should we include. So I think that's an open conversation between uh, basically the community. What do you want to see? Obviously, we'll definitely take that into account. I think for now it's the network's too immature to be able to just start throwing in random data. So we just have to make sure that what we're pointing the workload to makes sense. Now, eventually, like what we talked about also is the expanded ability to really look at like collaboration between private entities, and obviously there's data streams that they are focused on that might not they don't want the information getting out to like general public, and so that's something obviously that'll be worked hand in hand with the Satori Association and the project and that individual like entity, whatever, like a business, for example. That would be more of a privatized agreement, like being able to set that up. But I think the, I guess in a nutshell, I mean, yes, it's an open dialogue as well, as far as like the data streams themselves.
Y- yes. So, but um, like the association will be at the core of the streams, but with a new update or beta testing, we're running the peer-to-peer network, and everyone can will be able to run your own release, no server. And if someone we want to predict your streams, they will be more than free to join to you. And that's actually is answering for that question, because the core of the prediction will be running by association. They will be choosing association will be choosing them by voting or whatsoever. And the other things will be like those P2P layer where the people will be able to predict the streams.
Okay. Um, moving on to next question. Um, or what features would you consider to be the most exciting for Satori in the future? Me personally, I think the most exciting thing is being able to have a very simple website, and anyone can use it just as a regular login, subscribe, and boom, this is the and you sign up for these types of predictions. And I think for the regular user, I think that's a really awesome tool to have. I personally have had many tools, or I've been trying to find many tools along the way, what works, what doesn't work. So I think that's mine personally. Will, Jordan, what's yours?
Yeah, I just waiting for that mobile wallet. I just want to keep the the wallet in the pocket with on the app on the mobile phone and use it every day. That would be amazing when we run that and on the iOS, and would be like go.
Yeah, I'm excited about all the things. I guess my main focus would probably be more. Um, I really want to get to the point where we have the marketplace in place. So that requires the open network distributed, no stir, peer to peer data streams, and it requires um, kind of the Spillman channels to be built on top of that, so that you can have direct. The marketplace involves direct streaming of value. And I think that's really cool. I mean, that's micropayments, essentially. So you're going to have data streams from data providers going to value streams from value providers. And they're both going to be streaming back and forth. And so that's a really cool structure. I don't know how many other structures are out there in the world that are exactly that. And I think it has a lot of utility, and people are going to love it. So I'd like to see that, plus the uh, marketplace structures on top of it. And then once those are all in place, I kind of would like to turn my attention to the engine and really improve it, you know. And so I've been thinking about what that looks like, but there's, it's a long way to go, but that's kind of what I'm most excited about.
All right. All right. So, what would the Satori Association recommend is the best way to run a neuron cluster? And the examples provided a multi-neuron setup versus individual virtual machine per neuron, pooled or individually, and why. Um, my own experience, I think the best way to run neurons and the most efficiently is having your own set of hardware, like your own server, and building it out that way, rather than doing it a virtual machine and having to pay the rental costs going through, like, whether it's like Google Cloud or whatever service you prefer. Um, that's my preference, and what I've seen work better. It's more efficient, and the only downside is you have to you have to know what you're doing, and like that, it definitely takes some time.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
And like it depends about the person who will be running that. That question is like kind of to spread, like, because you can run multi-neuron setup or individual VM. If you have the Satori to stake them, if you don't have, you can rent your Satori, stake your Satori to the pool operators, and they will be do that for you for some kind of percent of fee. So it's just individual thing, you know.
Yep, and by far that's the easiest. So if anybody's just getting started and you want to start um, standing up some neurons and making predictions, the easiest way is just being able to stake your Satori to a pool. um, they have the neurons actually stood up, but you're earning a reward of what they're making with their neurons as far as making those predictions and the associated reward. And the way that this distribution works is over those past month is we implemented direct distribution. So in the system, the way that it calculates rewards is if you're staking to a pool, the pool sets a fee in the actual dashboard, of the neuron dashboard, and that fee that's supposed to go back to the person who's lending their staking power will go. That reward goes directly to that individual, and it doesn't go to that third party or mediary. So you don't have to worry about someone else holding onto your tokens. And I think that was a big step in the right direction as far as decentralization, to getting away from the middleman, to be able to build out the ecosystem. All right. Next question. Unless Jordan, you had any other comments for that?
No, we'll try to make it easier and easier to run neurons in the future. So I always expected people to just run them on their home machines. I thought, leave your computer on and run it all day. And that's what I thought would happen, naively. Uh, no, people rented out lots of VMs and ran it on those instead. So, which is fine, you know. So we've had to adapt to reality many times, and we'll just keep on making it better.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Will there be a way in the future to provide input to the neuron to guide it to make better predictions, or the ability to correct it rather than it making completely randomized predictions? And I guess this question comes down to, how does the neuron itself tailor itself to make better predictions? Jordan, I'm going to throw this one over to you.
Can hear me very well.
Oh, I got you. Uh-oh. I think we lost him again. Will, can you hear me?
Yeah, it looks like he's gone. Yeah, I can
I
hear. Yeah,
know.
yeah. I think so.
Oh no.
Someone's gonna get.
Jordan, we lost you. You might have
Yeah.
to drop out and hop back in again.
Okay. Yeah, we can come back to that question when he will be come back, and we can move to the next point. I think so. And when he's back, we can
Yeah. Um,
point out to him. Yeah.
well, that's actually that's actually the last question. Um,
Oh yeah,
so
sure.
so
It's not
like
many
just yeah.
questions.
So just for everybody, I think it's definitely something that we need to discuss, and but I think a big part of that answer is how is the neuron actually adjusting itself.
Works
Yep. And so
exactly, and that will be,
you go ahead.
yeah, I think so. That will be exactly the rebuild the engine. What he was saying before, to do that, to guide that neuron how to make better prediction. It will be include like changing the engine or do some change in the engine. Yeah,
Correct. Yeah, and that's a part of like yeah, eventually like the we do have to look at uh updating the engine. All right. Jordan, I think we got you back.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
All
better.
right.
I had to reconnect.
Round 3.
Um, what was the question
It
there, or
is
was there anything for me?
yeah, so will there be a way in the future to provide input to the neuron to guide it to making a better prediction or the ability to correct it rather than it making randomized predictions? And my comment was the way that of what I know how the neuron works is it's making a prediction it's out in like in the future, then it takes a record of once it gets to that point what the actual outcome was, and it starts to adjust based on what the information that it receives back. Is that a safe assumption?
Yeah, yeah, totally. That's how it works. So the training is always so. Yes, right now it has kind of an automated training procedure, and we don't really have. If you're a programmer, you can go in and just change it. You. It's open source, and the code's on your machine when you're running it, and you can do whatever you want. So, but we also want it to be easy to use. So, um, I would like to see a future where you can run a neuron and you can decide how it works, how it makes predictions. You have levers and gears or whatever you can choose. You can put in bias. You can say, well, don't ever go above this number or below that number. Or, you can add in your own opinions. I want it to be as customizable as possible. But we built the automated system without any real customizations first, so that anybody could just download it and run it. And we're going to be adding on those customizations as we go. So um, yeah, yes, if essentially we will get there.
Yeah, yeah, yep. It's on the to-do list. There's the ever expanding to-do list for sure. Cool. Well, I appreciate both of you hopping on and taking time out of your Saturdays. I know there's a lot going on, and obviously it is the weekend, so make sure you get some 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 time with the families and just some rest time. But so I do want to do a shout out just to everybody that hopped in this space and whoever is recording in the future. I really appreciate you taking the time and listening to this. Hopefully, this was a really good space. Whether you've been in, like you've known about the project, or you've been a part of the project, or hopefully it was really helpful for the first time listener also to kind of give you a down and dirty what the project is and where it's going. So if you want to if you're not connected already, the best way to get involved is follow Satori Association on X, and it is the host of this space. You can just click on that. Um, you can also click the headers in the space. There's a few links you can click. And if you haven't seen it already, really cool link is the live neuron view, where you can see the entire network and how it's connecting with all the information data flows. Super cool. Um, you can visit the website, satorinet.io. You can join the community, discord.gg/Satori. There's also the Satori Association, and what what it stands to do and how it kind of steers the direction and supports the ecosystem. That is satoriassociation.org. And you can also just go to the main website, satorinet.io /download, if you would like to get started and start running the neuron for yourself. And super cool 101 is if you are running Windows, there is a link at the top. A community member actually took some time and did a step-by-step guide on how to set up a neuron and get it working on your own computer. So, with that said, again, thank you to everybody taking your time and listening to the space. Hopefully, this was um, hopefully something that you hopefully it was a space that you actually learned something. Um, and I encourage everybody, if there's other questions, obviously we went through the AMA list of what people posted, but after this, if you want to continue the conversation, we're more than happy to answer anything that came up across the space in the Discord chat. So hop over there, hop in the general or the AMA question section. You can hop in there, throw in your questions, and we'll get to you. Other than that, Will, do you have anything before we wrap up?
No, I think so. You cover everything, and thank you for hosting that space. And yeah, let's go, guys.
Let's go. Let's do it. Jordan, anything?
Nope. Thank you so much for hosting, and this is awesome.
No problem. I love doing this. Every time I do these, I learn something that I haven't. So it's a good opportunity for me to do these also. But all right, so appreciate everybody hopping in, listening. Make sure to share it, give a follow, and till next time, have a great weekend, and talk to you next time. Take care.